Well, hello and welcome to another Board of Education board meeting recap, this time for the month of April 2023. My name is Duke Bradley, Chief of Staff, and as always, I'm joined today by our Superintendent, Dr. Mary Elizabeth Davis. Good to see you.
It's good to see you, and we're so thankful you would join us today.
Well, if you tuned in to the board meeting, you'll notice that we were all clad in purple, and that is in recognition of the month of the Military Child Recognition Month. And so this is an opportunity for us to really acknowledge and express our appreciation for all of the families and students here in Henry County who are military connected. There are many of them, and so that is why we were wearing purple. Dr. Davis?
Well, then we got right into the work of the Board of Education, which actually kicked off with reports from members of my advisories. Middle school, high school, the elementary and secondary teacher advisories each provided a report of what they had studied, what they had discussed, and really what they had recommended to me as we start planning for this upcoming fiscal year and a great start to a new school year. It was a great celebration of the role so many people play in contributing to the way we get better as an organization. And that was a great stage setter as we began talking about our 4 district teachers of the year from the 4 past years, designing a future teachers program that will launch this fall, grades K through 12, as we find the future talent to serve in classrooms across our community. It really was a great start to the board meeting, and it paved the way for our business of the Board of Education. And that really is when our board started talking about their recent national conference appearance.
That's right. Well, we talk a lot about the fact that there are no effective, high-performing school districts without highly effective boards of education. And we are fortunate here in Henry County to have a highly effective board of education. And their work, particularly their governance journey, was on display as they were invited to participate in a state conference, a national conference, in fact, in Tampa, Florida, just a couple of weeks ago. They really talked about the work that our board has done to coalesce around a common mission, a common vision, and an approach to making sure that we are responding to the full and comprehensive needs of all of the students in our district. Let's have a look at some of what our board had to say.
There was an amazement from those that was inside the room to see that they're not as involved with policy setting as we are here in Henry County. We talked about how when we see a need, then we identify it, we identify the gaps, and then we take proactive measures in making sure that those gaps are done away with, in so many words. But it was a very eye-opening experience. It was very interesting to see so many districts doing different things. And how really the work that we do here in Henry County is really transformative. So again, it was a great opportunity to go down there to see so many school boards across this nation, so many different superintendents, and I just felt that it was a good opportunity and a good time to go to learn about what we do best, where we're falling, and then how we can improve.
So our study session began really focusing in on our strategic plan, and Dr. Bradley was able to deliver our year 2, quarter 3 a strategic plan report to the board and to our public. And so, Dr. Bradley, why don't you give us some insights into what was lifted up as being produced during this time period?
You know, Mary Elizabeth, it's really difficult to condense all of the work that our Board of Education is doing in a quarterly report. But let's take a moment to get a little specific on really some of the things that we really think are important for people to know. So one of the things I think is really important is that, you know, we have created on-ramps for advanced learning opportunities for students at every level. That's elementary, middle, and high school. And through the work of our advisories, we're beginning to think through what does an advanced 3rd grade math cohort actually look like. And so as those students progress through advanced and accelerated mathematics, they will have options that have otherwise not been available to students here in Henry County schools. And that is right under Strategic Action 1. And our new STEM high school, which is going to be coming in just a couple of years, that work is really under development. Our STEM advisory, which is made up of so many people from throughout our community and our region, education professionals, industry professionals. All of those have provided unique and specific counsel around what the student experience may very well look like for students who are going to be attending the STEM high school. And so that is really, really, really important. The other thing I think is really important, Mary Elizabeth, is the work that's happening under Strategic Action 5. We've got growth and replacement that has been elevated as a priority, now creating opportunities for students that are actually showing up in classrooms. We are upgrading our athletic fields. We are doubling down on our investment around middle school orchestras. And so over the next couple of years or so, you will see that every middle school throughout Henry County schools will have an orchestra program. That is in direct response to what our community has asked for. And we're really excited about some of those projects. Any others you want to talk about?
Actually, I think this is a great moment to just revisit that not only was the strategic plan community inspired in its original design, but it continues to be community informed. Every step along the way, how we value the voices and perspectives of our families, our community, our students, and our employees in order to continue to grow and improve as we deliver on each of these items that have been important. I think I want to just emphasize that when it comes to growth and replacement. It was from the perspectives of our students and teachers and families of wondering, when does the furniture and the equipment in a school get refreshed over the lifetime of a school? Well, we have finally built out a solution, and 3 of our elementary schools this summer, Oakland Elementary School, Locust Grove Elementary School, and Fairview Elementary School, will be pilot schools for the refreshing of cafeteria tables and furniture and equipment in the classrooms. And we're really excited to see how that transforms the learning environment as a reflection of our community's priority. I think that's actually coupled by finally arriving at air conditioning our elementary school gymnasiums. There are a lot of families, a lot of PE teachers, and a lot of kids who have had a lot of warm days in our elementary school gymnasiums. And that has been a clear priority of our board and our community. And this summer we will complete that project in time for the next school year. And then the last part of that growth and replacement that I think is just really special is how it is actually informing elevation of our athletic equipment and facilities. All of our middle and high schools receiving new exterior scoreboards and refreshing those that have been outdated, and our track and field equipment, our weight rooms at our high schools, our cheer mats and our wrestling mats, all part of this refreshing process so that our learning environments continue to be welcoming and support the student learning experience. This strategic plan is in full motion, and we continue to seek out ways that you can tell us what matters most to you and inform our work along the way. And I think that's a little bit about the report. I mean, this was a really healthy discussion of the Board of Education.
It's really, really kind of hard to imagine that is just only a small part of the larger work that has been set in motion by our Board of Education. And that led into a report by our Chief Learning and Performance Officer, Mrs. Tamarian McCrary, on our STEM implementation update. You've heard for really several months now about the work that we're doing around STEM. And if there was one thing that I think was really important about Mrs. McCrary's report, is that the investments that we are making in STEM are not just for students who are transitioning or who will ultimately transition to the new STEM high school, but we are making deep investments at elementary, middle, and high school. We're making investments at our specialty schools, and we are making investments at our Academy for Advanced Studies. So STEM for all students, wherever you may attend in Henry County schools, will be available, and we think that that's really important.
Yeah, and I think if you want to learn a little bit more about this very comprehensive approach to STEM education, every child, every classroom, every school, we'd invite you to visit the long version of that report that is available through our recorded version of the board meeting, because it's really exciting to see how STEM is got such great momentum so that every kid in every school has a great experience.
Let's listen in at some of the comments from our Board of Education.
I got to see a snapshot, just a small snapshot before our State of the Schools address of the amazing things that kids are doing in STEM. And I mean, seriously, one kid was like, "This is your future." And I was like, "And I need your autograph." Like, I was just amazed. The elementary school through high school students, it's brilliant. And, you know, it is very clear in this board's mission that we will empower all students.
I've had the opportunity on a few occasions to enter the classrooms of our STEM teachers at our elementary schools, and just to see the faces of the students light up, just, you know, the opportunities that they have now that they didn't have before at every level, not just our elementary school. The future of our school system is just so bright, and I'm so proud that STEM is going to play a huge part in that.
Next up was the eSPLOS and construction report from our Chief Operations Officer, Mr. Josh Malcolm, who talked about several of the projects that we have going on in the district. One of those is the completion of our Security Access Badge project. That project is nearing completion, and it corresponds with many of the investments that we've made in safety and infrastructure. Additionally, Birch Creek Elementary, which will be the newest elementary to the Henry County Schools family, we will be having the groundbreaking for that event in just a couple of weeks. And so we're really excited about the fact that our community continues to grow. Additionally, our HVAC projects, as you heard from Mary Elizabeth a little bit earlier, have been substantially completed at several schools. Some have been completed in total, and we've got a few in queue, but ultimately all of our HVAC projects for our elementary school gymnasiums will be complete by the end of summer. And so that is really exciting for us.
That's right. You know, we also use this opportunity during the Construction eSPLOS report to celebrate that our Dutchtown High School addition, which is the first of 9 growth projects scheduled through our eSPLOS 6 referendum and building program. It is neared completion. The certificate of occupancy has been issued, and we will be having a ribbon cutting to celebrate the readiness of that first growth project. Now, each of our growth projects that are a part of our eSPLOS 6 program are actually scheduled to start over the next 3 years. And in each of those projects, it will accommodate a total of 5,000 more students to our organization. And I know that everyone in our Henry County community is aware of the growth and how many new community members are attracted to our county. And so the schools are on an ambitious plan to be ready for young people and to ensure that our eSPLOS 7 program allows us to continue ensuring that we have the right space for students in our organization. Well, that eSPLOS and construction report paved the way for our March financial report, in which our Chief Financial Officer, Shanika Clay, was able to provide an update of where we are in this fiscal year. As we are only 3 months away from the conclusion of this fiscal year, our revenues continue to outpace our expenditures, which positions this Board of Education to have a very healthy and stable foundation in which the FY24 budget has been built, which then, of course, led the way to the superintendent's recommendation for the FY24 tentative budget, which later in the evening would be adopted with a 5-0 vote of the Board of Education. So I think it's probably important that we really take a minute to talk about some of the highlights of this FY24 budget. And in order to do so, let's just take a peek at Chief Financial Officer Shanika Clay.
As has become practice, I'll start this report with a review of the distinct funds that are included in the superintendent's recommendation. Per policy, the board takes action on these aggregate funds annually during the budget adoption. The first of the 4 funds is the general fund, which accounts for our daily operations like salaries, instructional supplies, and maintenance costs. Next is the Special Revenue Fund, which accounts for grants given to Henry County Schools for designated and supplemental purposes. The Special Revenue Fund also includes the financials associated with the school nutrition and the after-school enrichment enterprising activities. Next is the Capital Projects Fund, which includes the revenues and expenditures for the capital improvements authorized by the board. And finally, there is the Debt Service Fund, which captures the revenues and expenses associated with the long-term debt that has been incurred to finance those capital projects. In consideration of the needs of our school system and the voice of our community, the superintendent's budget recommendation incorporates investments in competitive compensation and high-quality instructional strategies and services to support students, families, and schools.
So while the board adopts the budget at the fund level, we were able to take a moment and really lift up some of the steep investments that our Board of Education is able to make in this upcoming fiscal year. First was highlighting our board chair priority around competitive compensation for our employees. This is ensuring that as a Board of Education, they are a great employer, as well as ensuring that students have the best professionals in public education in front of them, and that we attract high quality and we keep the quality that we currently know exists in each of our schools and each of our support programs. The compensation improvements include a $3,500 increase to the teacher compensation scale and all job families associated with that scale. It's a 5% increase for our classified job families, and a 3% increase for our administrative job families. That actually paved the way for some direct and targeted improvements, including a $2 an hour increase for bus drivers and a $1.50 an hour increase for clinic aides, safety monitors, and paraprofessionals. And finally, a $1.38 increase for our food and nutrition staff. Now, those compensation improvements are coupled with the path that has been made for our clinic aid job family to be fully benefited, and that's with health care benefits for the first time in school system history. And while compensation was a shared priority among our Board of Education and our assurances that students have the best possible professionals in front of them, we also know that as a community we are growing, and there is an increase in the number of teacher allocations. 45 new teacher allocations, 6 of which are dedicated to middle school orchestra as we get middle school orchestra programs started. There was also an allocation of personnel for our strategic plan implementation, meaning any school ready to start their orchestra program or any elementary school ready to start their world language program, as they build the readiness in their school, an allocation is available to be made in order to realize that for kids. There was 11 additional assistant principals so that we can continue to support the leadership of each of our schools, and there were additional district positions, including a cluster nurse to serve students, a safety supervisor, an ESOL coordinator, and a supportive team for our custodians. For the full report of those highlights, I would encourage you to visit our website, where we have been tracking all of the developments of our board's progress on this FY24 budget. And I know that as a community, this takes all of us in order to ensure that there are quality schools for every one of our children, and that we are a quality employer for our employees. But this is also made possible because of the health of our economy as a community and as a state. We are seeing an increase in revenue from our state source, and we're also seeing growth in our local property tax digest, and that has paved the way for us to continue to get better as a school district. Stay tuned as we prepare ourselves for the adoption of the final FY24 budget at the May board meeting, in which there will also be a second budget hearing for any individual interested in participating. Well, that FY24 budget created a lot of conversation for our Board of Education, so let's take a listen.
And I'm so proud, because one of my main priorities was to do what we could do for our staff as far as compensation. And I'm very happy that we're going to be able to do that. And I just want to thank you for all of your hard work, and I look forward to supporting this tonight.
And I believe that this budget will enhance the experience of every child. So I'm so grateful for that. And I'm also really excited for the ways that it will move our strategic plan forward, because that is the direct voice of our community coming to life.
And that led us into our 2023 legislative update. You know, Mary Elizabeth, our Henry County delegation worked in lockstep with our Board of Education this year and did some fantastic work. And coming out of this year's legislative session, there were a couple of themes that were really kind of prominent in some of the bills that emerged. One of those themes was literacy. And if you are not aware, Henry County Schools has done some phenomenal work, not just around early literacy, but also around instructional resources and materials, where many of the bills that came through this legislative session really supported a lot of the work that Henry County Schools has really modeled and led the way on. And so we were really excited when we saw that these bills emerged, because essentially it meant that Henry County Schools is really doing the right work with regard to literacy. Another theme that emerged during this legislative session was safety. And we have made significant investments in deepening our safety infrastructure within our schools, but also this General Assembly has legislated practices that we already have in place. So again, when we think about the value of our delegation working in lockstep with our Board of Education to make sure that Henry County Schools is on top of really what now has become expectations across the state, it is really encouraging about some of the things that are happening in our district. And that led us to our business items, where our board took action on really several items that we know are going to benefit our district and our students, not the least of which is our student code of conduct for the 23-24 school year. There were a couple of themes that really emerged that our board really wanted to strengthen, and one of those was fighting, the other was bus conduct, and the third was threats. And so what you will find if you review our student code of conduct, which will be on our website for public consumption, is that you will find that there are areas within that code of conduct that have been strengthened from last year to this year. We want to thank all of the members of our community who weighed in, provided perspective and feedback. We certainly took that into account, and you see that those changes are now a part of next year's code of conduct.
There was a 5-0 adoption of our code of conduct that you'll see in your handbook next school year, and that was followed by 5-0 vote to authorize the investments in several items that you're found in our strategic plan. It included outfitting our chorus rooms. It also included the instructional materials for our world language programs, particularly Spanish and French. There was the investment in improving the Stockbridge Middle School and Austin Road Middle School athletic facilities, as well as an investment in cheer mats and wrestling mats for our middle and high school. And finally, an investment in that growth and replacement package of furniture and equipment for our pilot elementary schools, Fairview, Oakland, and Locust Grove. That rounded out the business items for the Board of Education, and it was a pretty great meeting, so we had some inspiration and celebration. Why don't you tell us about it?
That's right. We had the students from the orchestra at Hickory Flat Elementary, and I will tell you, it is no surprise, or it should come as no surprise, that these young people absolutely stole the show. Let's listen in on their performance. And during the awards and recognition portion of our board meeting, there were a number of students and also staff members who were recognized for the work that they have done over the past month. But one of those that I really want to lift up is we have so many talented individuals in our district, and under the leadership of Dr. Cynthia McCrae, both our Aspire and our Model programs graduated staff members into an experience that really reflected their deepening of their awareness around leadership and leadership attributes that we know are going to benefit our district going forward.
We also had several students to recognize for their extraordinary performance, and that included our Griffin Risa Regional High School Math Contest. It also included our Griffin Risa 2023 Young Authors Writing Competition. We were excited to celebrate our 2023 Georgia Department of Education Scholar Program recognition, which is really an amazing honor from the state of Georgia.
Well, just after we acknowledged the students and staff members during the awards and recognition portion of our meeting, we took a moment to acknowledge a couple of outgoing staff members who have contributed mightily to Henry County Schools.
That's right. It was the retirements that we celebrated that were a part of the personnel action, starting with Dr. Sherry Green, principal at Dutchtown Elementary School. Also included in that is Ann Wilson, principal at Unity Grove Elementary School, actually approved for her retirement at our special call meeting in the beginning of the month. And also celebrated, although recently approved by the board, was Dr. Cynthia McCrae, who is also retiring from the Director of Leadership Development. And we did have several APs that were welcome to the leadership team that you can see on your screen right now, as well as the appointment of Dr. Kristen McCrae to be the Director of Leadership Development moving forward. And that was pretty much a wrap for our Board of Education meeting for the month of April.
Well, that's going to do it. We are now entering the second half of the month of April and into the month of May, which, as you know, is graduation time. So we're really excited about that. Make sure you visit our website for more information about anything that you heard during this broadcast, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Take care. While this was just the board recap, you can view the entire board meeting on our website. Also, before we let you go, we encourage you to follow us on social media. That's all from Henry County Schools today. Remember, we are always in pursuit of exceptional, and we'll see you next month.